everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Key Drivers of People Management in New India. We're extremely happy that you are joining us here today. We're looking forward to an engaging discussion, a discussion that's kind of going to help us understand the industry and also get in new insights. For those who have been part of a PrePearl webinar before, welcome back. So happy to have you. And those who are joining us for the first time, welcome to one of our webinars. My name is Pearl D'Souza. I am the director at PrePearl Training Development. What does PrePearl do? We specialize in behavioral change management. We do focus on really maximizing potential, whether it is at the individual level, the team level, or the organization, and a lot of work, therefore, with the leadership transformation. Our forte is maximizing potential, as we said, and I personally am quite interested and intrigued in the whole area of engagement and really how does that affect culture and organization. Regional representative in India, provide the accreditation courses, and very closely associated with Grid International INC. Today, we are very happy to have with us Mrs. Poonam Chandok. She is the HR Head L&T Transportation Infrastructure. In a career spanning over 2.5 decades, Poonam has handled various HR functions like organization development, performance management, and leadership development. It really is her ability and her focus on strategic alignment of HR to business needs. She started her career with Larson and Toubro, transitioned smoothly into the agro-input industry, joining Biostat India Limited, wherein she was really instrumental in setting up the entire HR function and also helping the organization stabilize in turbulent times, especially post the demerger. Focus, of course, always being on strategic interventions. This really led her back to joining Larson and Toubro in 2011, and she went on to head the fastest growing businesses in L&T construction, which was the transportation infrastructure business. She has been an integral part of the team that has scripted the success story for the business, enabling a CAGR of over 20% in the last 4 years, and its foray into the overseas market. Beyond titles and designations, her true success lies in the impact she leaves on people she works with, and I totally agree with this. In the time that I have worked with her and interacted with her, her strong value system, coupled with domain knowledge, really fuels her guiding principle, which is challenge the present, prepare for the future, and leave a strong legacy in the process. We are so happy, ma'am, that you are joining us today. Thank you and welcome to the session. So what are we going to be looking at today? What can we expect from the webinar? We will look at the infrastructure industry, the transportation industry, and really what are the people challenges over here? L&T Transportation in particular, what are the key initiatives to build talent and a workforce that truly delivers? What is L&T Transportation focusing on today? We will look at what are the insights we can get from this industry when looking at the millennial workforce, and also the whole aspect of diversity and encouraging women contribution in an organization. And finally, the whole aspect of self-management, and we are going to speak to Poonam over here in terms of what are some insights that she has garnered during her journey, which can help us in each of our journeys. Before we start off, just to let you know that on the right-hand side of your screen, you have the chat box. And please do feel free to send in comments, questions that you may have. We will have a section at the end of, or towards the end of today's interaction that we'll keep, especially for Q&A. But in the meantime, if there's any thought that strikes you, any question that comes up, please feel free to type it in and send it to us. And we will be closely looking at that and sharing that during the course of the webinar. With that, I hope we are all ready and we're ready to dive into the conversation. I am going to just make a quick change over here to ensure that you can see both Poonam and me. And okay, I think in a bit you should be able to see us. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much, Poonam, for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So, Poonam, tell us, when we were looking at the industry, and we're looking at people management factors in the industry, which is basically transportation and construction, we are at a time in India, which is an exciting time. I think we are at a time where we're ready to look into the future, and it's almost like saying we can make it big. The entire world is looking at us, and the infrastructure industry is literally building the new India. Give us some insight into what the industry is like and what is the potential that the industry today kind of holds for the nation. And holds for all of us.
Okay, great. So basically, when we say infrastructure, what we actually mean is the entire gamut of, say, roads, rails, ports, airports, dams, irrigation facilities, wastewater treatment. This entire gamut of services comes under the space of infrastructure.
Sure.
The space, in this entire space, the space that I'm going to be working in, that I'm working in transportation, is looking at the road and the rail industry.
Okay.
So let me give you a little more details about these two industries that I'm operating.
Sure.
So when we talk about the roads, you can show the PPT if you want.
That'd be great. We have a little presentation to also guide you through. Yeah. Great.
So when you look at the roads, runways, when we say runways, we mean not just the airstrip, but the entire runway, entire airway, air side of an airport, that is except the terminal building. Typically things that lead up, all your bridges that lead up to the terminal, to the airport, and everything beyond the terminal building inside is called the air side part of it. So that's part of the business that we are in. And elevated corridors are basically the bridges. If you just look at this space in this country today, there is a lot happening. You have a lot of investment in national and state highways. You have these expressways which are basically connecting major and minor cities. You have a lot of refurbishment of the airports, upgradation of the airports, new airports happening in the country. You have this whole concept of smart cities, 100 smart cities, you would have probably read about it in the papers. And these ambitious projects of Sagarmala, Bharatmala, connecting ports, connecting the whole country through roads. So that's all the space that is there under this particular business segment.
Fantastic.
And the government is very committed. And they have very ambitious targets that they want to build around 50,000 kilometers of road in the next 5 years.
Amazing. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm saying, oh my gosh, this is extremely exciting.
This is actually the numbers which reflect the excitement that you were talking about earlier about the space. This is data to that.
Fantastic. Yes.
If you move to the next segment that we are in, railways, again, very, very exciting and happening segment. If you look at the presentation, the bottom right hand corner, the bullet train, the newspapers have all been over the place. place about it. It's a very exciting time for the industry itself, for the railway industry.
Right.
And then we are into mass rapid transport, transit systems in this country, all the metros that are coming up.
Right.
Then, of course, the regular traditional mainline systems, private sidings, all this is, there's investment happening in all this space in this country today.
Very cool.
And a very interesting concept of dedicated freight corridors. So earlier, the track systems that were laid in the country run both your passenger trains and your goods train.
Okay.
Right. And obviously, the way this country has grown, the pressure on that is very, very high. So the government has come up with this concept of dedicated freight corridors.
Okay.
Already the east and the west corridors are very much in construction is happening.
Okay.
And basically, it will have two advantages. First is that the be free of these goods trains. So you can imagine the more number of trains you can run on the passenger track to take care of the growing needs of the country. The dedicated tracks which are being built for the freight, they have much higher capacities. So the train itself, the typical train which can carry an X load today will probably be able to carry a 1.5 or a 2 times load. So you can imagine the kind of impetus it will give to the entire business in this in the country. And these are basically connecting the ports and the hinterland.
Fantastic.
All these projects that are doing that. So these are the two spaces that transportation infrastructure that I'm working in is operating in.
Oh, great. And give us a little insight also, therefore, with regards to Larson and Toubro, and a little more insight in, you've explained the background a little bit in terms of L&T and transportation, particularly within that.
L&T is Larson and Toubro Limited. It's a 78-year-old company started in 1938 by two Danish engineers, Mr. Henning Larson and Søren Christian Toubro. They were of a very different mindset. So they believed that this organization should be a professionally run organization. So every CEO thereafter them has been a professional.
Okay.
So anybody, the dream we tell our youngsters is anybody can join this organization and hope and dream to become the CEO, and one of them, whoever has the capability, their dreams get realized.
Oh, fantastic!
So that's been the history of this organization, and very solidly Indian multinational. Country. This is not a company which was created outside this country, within this country, and we operate across the globe.
And
it's an Indian multinational, and it operates in several segments, as you can see. Largely what we call B2B segment, and some of it is in B2C, like realty and finance.
Sure.
The division I belongs to that infrastructure space, and within infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure that I talked about earlier.
Great, very cool. And also what I'm, you mentioned this last time when you said when the organization started. And I remember when I was young, Larson and Toubro felt like an organization that was not Indian. And therefore, very important to realize it is an Indian multinational.
Absolutely. It's an Indian multinational.
It's an Indian multinational, where, as you said, when the founders founded it, they actually said that their children would not take over. And that's what you're really saying in terms of anyone who joins in can have that dream that's very realizable.
Absolutely.
That you can
so what we say, it's a truly professional company.
Oh, fantastic. Very cool.
Made of professionals. And so all the employees are really the owners of this organization. And it's we who are very conscious of what we are doing today should build a better platform for the people who are going to take over from us, because this company should grow from strength to strength.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, great. And tell me, Poonam, so when you're looking at an organization that's building the country, the focus is that individuals need to want to build the organization also to take it to the next level. What are challenges that we kind of find in this particular industry? What is unique in terms of the people aspects?
So I would like to share a little bit about the transportation infrastructure independent company. That's the vertical that
sure,
as we call it.
Oh, great. Yes,
so that
please.
Set a context to the challenges itself.
Sure. Will do. Let me kind of switch on also to the bit where we get the slides. Yeah. Yes.
So it's the transportation independent company is headquartered at Sharjah.
Okay.
We have 3 businesses. Like I explained to you, we are in the road space, railway space, and in international, whatever we do is in road and rail space.
Okay.
We are present currently in 7 countries, growing numbers every year.
Great.
We obviously don't have products for the final customer.
Yeah.
Our product line looks a little intimidating, if I may say so. So what we offer to the customer are roads. We can build your airside, your bridges in the cities, the tracks and traction, signaling, telecommunication, mass rapid transit systems, light rail transit systems. So those are the kind of product ranges that we offer. Of course, we don't therefore have too many customers. Our customers are basically government ministries and few private companies who want the private sidings done for them. We have, as an engineering giant, we have our engineering centers at 3 locations. And we also have many competency building arms, so to speak, of to support all the work that we do, the stuff that we do, where they can get trained and stuff like that. Of course, this space is very, very machinery heavy, asset heavy, as we call it. So we have a lot of machinery, we have a lot of equipment which help us do things, very, very sophisticated equipments that build our roads and rails. Currently, we have around 70 plus projects that we are working on, both in India and overseas. So that's a little bit of a background of the division or the vertical that I'm operating in. If you talk of people challenges, then the first and foremost is you don't have today too many colleges which offer engineering in roads or engineering in railways or any such domain-specific engineering that is offered. So the education system is not really making people ready for the road or the rail sector.
That's a huge challenge when you're really looking at it, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And
this goes down right up to the level of, if you're talking of frontline people, so if you're talking of IT institutes, even they don't have any courses which are tailor-made for our sector. So basically, we have to run campus to corporate programs to make people ready for our industry. Second is, this is not a glamorous industry. Most millennials would probably dream of, when they think of themselves working, is what we call an ACPC culture, as mentioned by my CEO and MD. That you are sitting in an AC office with a PC in front of you, and that's the kind of office anybody would like to work. But what we are offering is working in very harsh conditions, literally on the roads or in the middle of nowhere.
True.
So then comes with the challenges of very rough working conditions. These tracks literally go over so many states, cities, towns, villages. So the socio-political scene itself changes every 20, 30, 40, 50 odd kilometers.
And this is at the ground level. So I can imagine the complexities when you're working on the ground.
Absolutely. So our people have to deal with that day in and day out. And so projects are basically 2 to 3 years, and then they need to move to the next project. So it's a kind of a nomadic kind of a lifestyle that is there, which is extremely challenging. And if you talk of the workmen who come to this industry, the workmen themselves largely come from the agricultural space. So they are seasonal. When the season is not there, they will come. And then they have to be trained. You have to train them because they come for very short spells of time. You have to train them of the work they're supposed to do, and more importantly, of all the safety aspects that you need to take care of. You cannot ask the person to go on the job just like that. So there's constant training and retraining which is required of workmen, because there's a constant churn in this workmen who arrive at our job sites. So these are some of the key people challenges that affect everybody in the infrastructure space.
And there are a couple of things over here that I'm going to kind of pick on, which I thought was very interesting, which I think define the industry also, as you said. Number one, you said you don't have an ACPC culture. Yeah, and I like that statement, because as I was thinking, when I was fresh out of MBA, what you have in your mind is, you dress up really well and you go to this corporate office, and you have an AC environment, and you've got your own, PC to do your work with. And this industry is necessarily an industry wherein you are on the ground, where it's not just sitting in a good environment, in a comfortable environment. That's number one. And I think secondly, also, you were talking about how the workforce, the kind of training that you need to really impart, is something that really takes a lot of your focus. Yeah. And sorry, you were saying something.
So basically, the AC is not there, the PC is definitely
the PC is there. Sorry.
Like to correct you
okay,
on that. Because
yes,
we are very much into digitization. We are very much into high tech. There's a lot of latest technologies that we use. Our equipment also are very intense, not the regular run-of-the-mill equipment. They're very heavily digitized. So that environment is there, but the comfort of an AC would be restricted to a site office perhaps, and the accommodation that we offer.
And I think that's an interesting mix, if you see, because you're looking at manufacturing, construction, but it's not devoid, of course, of the latest that's happening. Absolutely. With the whole, and that again gives it another flavor. And I'm going to ask you this bit over here, and we're coming now more towards also the focus and what does L&T Transportation particularly do, looking at these challenges and how you've been addressing these particular challenges. And I don't know whether I should bring it in over here, but a question that I also have in my mind is, you would have seen what we call today the millennial workforce. But I'm guessing because you have really looked at the entire country, what are the insights that you really have of the millennial workforce also?
So we would, for the millennial workforce is they have I think their aspirations, their interests are and I think they're ready to face whatever challenges that are there. So definitely we do attract a lot of good talent into this space, and they're very enthused with the thought of building the nation. They're very enthused with creating something new. And our company, our division, we are able to offer these challenges to them.
Fantastic.
They're also ready to make. They're also ready to make the sacrifices, as we say it, to that is required for these the work style that we are offering, for the challenges that we are offering.
Great.
So that's a whole lot of energy. We are a company that we believe that trainee source, that is, are the source of our energy.
Fantastic.
So we have a very, very large young workforce, and we feed off their energy. Fantastic. The entire management feeds off their energy, because with their enthusiasm and their energy, we are able to take on bigger and better challenges.
Great.
And what we've done in our specifically in my IC is we've taken these trainees across all the levels in the organization.
Okay.
So we've kind of harnessed a lot of energy of the nation.
Great. And can you give us a little insight in terms of something that you've particularly looked at in L&T Transportation, in terms of really either getting them on board, or really how do you focus on them?
So we have a program called Laksh in our organization. Every 5 years, we look at our businesses, the entire key management of the organization, and we say, okay, where we are going to be in 5 years' time, which businesses are going to grow approximately by how much, which are the new businesses we need to enter in.
Right.
Probably some of the businesses we need to move out from. So this entire discussion is called Laksh. So I was part of it's a fantastic organization building exercise that we do. So I was part of the Laksh 2021 program.
Okay.
Wherein I got a chance to what the business is going to be in the next 5 years.
Fabulous.
And I say this very specifically because if you have to be a good HR professional, you must understand the business well.
Right.
So in fact, when you talked about this whole discussion to me also, I said, let's first talk about the industry.
Yes.
Then we will talk about the company, then about division, and then about the people.
Right.
And that's how it has to be today. The statement being made is HR should be business partners.
Yeah.
So basically, which means you need to understand the business. Once you understand the business thoroughly, then you get in the specialized HR skills that you have. And
Sure.
So when I looked at the entire the way my division was going to grow, a lot of questions came to my mind saying that how are we going to give talent to this ambitious plan? And that's when I looked at the organization pyramid and we said, okay, so identified places where we are going to pump in the talent.
Okay.
Let's start with the first thing that we did was the frontline supervisors program.
Okay.
And basically we realized that the base of the pyramid needs to be strengthened.
Okay.
This base of the pyramid is basically you need people who are sergeants, foremen, who will actually be supervising the work at the ground level. Okay. The intake has to be from the ITI institutes of this country.
Okay.
But when we looked around, we said there was no course which was available for that.
Okay.
So we said, okay, so we developed this campus to corporate program that I was doing.
Right.
Under that banner, we developed these 2-year-long courses.
Okay.
Wherein we trained them on specific skills, say for the plant and machinery, to handle the plant and machinery, to handle the roads segment, to handle our railways. Within roads, several specializations. Within plant and machinery, equipment meant for roads, equipment meant for railways, equipment meant for quarry mining crushing department. Within railways, civil works, track works. So all these courses were designed internally.
My gosh.
Then when we said that, okay, if we need talent, how do we source it? There are more than 400 ITIs spread across the country.
Okay.
So we literally wrote into almost all of them.
Fantastic.
Offering the courses that we were looking at.
Okay.
The ITIs were much more.
Right.
We had the base courses that we wanted.
Right.
We went across the length and breadth of the country. We went up to I think the easternmost place would be Kailash Sheher.
Okay.
Guwahati, Jorhat as well. We went to Port Blair. We went, of course, to downmost to the south end of the country, and we gave these exams, tests, and we selected the best of the best.
Sure.
And we put them through these programs.
Okay.
And thereby we are actually creating the ready people who can take up these positions and make the base of our pyramid very, very strong.
Oh, fantastic.
Also, we've building a career path for them. So they can actually think and look at spending the entire, the entire 30-35 years of work life with us, and growing from strength to strength in seniority, in remuneration, and being the pillars for L&T.
Great.
Also, we said that we introduced certain other courses, like we have a graduate commercial training scheme wherein we take the BComs, the regular courses, BCom, BAs, and we take them for some specialized functions in account. A lot of quality labs, because you can imagine the main ingredient for road and rail is basically the aggregates, as we call it.
Okay.
And that is sourced from across the country. It has to be tested in the quality labs. It's a very integral part of the work that we do.
Sure.
And so we said, if we have to train people specialized in this time we went to chemistry colleges offering chemistry as a specialization in BSc. And then we've curated a course for them, and we've again traveled everywhere, selected these boys, and now they're undergoing a 9-month program. All our programs are spread across the various institutes that we have, technical institutes that we have, coupled with on-the-job training. So it's a little bit of what you do in the classroom. You go and do that at the site. You come back to the classroom, learn something else. There are tests throughout. So it's a very intense program that we spelled out. And thereby, slowly, the first lot has already moved to the sites after a year and 2 years courses. And they're doing very well.
Oh, beautiful. How is this received by these youngsters?
They're very energetic.
Is it? Yeah.
They are very energetic. In fact, in the graduation ceremony that we had recently for one of the batches, this boy came up and said that, I was, when I joined 1 year back, I was sitting in the last row in a corner and really scared because he was from a very small village.
Right.
And today, I am standing here and talking to you. And he was one amongst 40 selected to speak because, he'd become a very good orator. And he says that this entire confidence has come thanks to what inputs I've got from this organization, my trainers, and the way I have been groomed. I'm very thankful. And it's so nice to see that. You're actually contributing towards building careers for people.
True. Very true. You're saying that, and I'm smiling all the more because you're really then, and you're building leadership right from the base, right at the bottom of the pyramid is where you're truly building and supporting talent. Yeah,
L&T does that.
L&T does that. L&T does that. Excellent. Tell me, how does and this was, I remember, I'm going to refer to a conversation we had a little earlier, where we said that for the youngsters, who come in, especially from the non-cities, the far-off places in India, and when you're able to kind of give them this career paths, it motivates them, showing them what there is ahead kind of motivates them. How does that motivation sustain within the organization? And therefore, when we look at the other levels within the organization, what are some things that you do to kind of keep the talent focus on?
So basically, when the talent comes in from these ITI institutes and the diploma institutes,
right? Let me share a screen.
I don't think it's required.
Cool. Okay.
So when the talent comes from these smaller cities, their needs are fairly simple.
Okay.
They want a good, stable organization, an organization which cares for them,
right?
And an organization where they can see their career building. And L&T kind of fits in very well into this setup or this mindset. And so they really look forward to much a longer career. So we have 30 years, 35 years ceremonies, probably unheard of.
Right.
The earlier millennials you spoke about would find that it's difficult to believe. But yeah, that's the kind of time that that people have spent in this organization. So their needs are a little different, and we cater to that. And then you also have these students coming in from engineering institutes who are looking at upgrading themselves, improving themselves. So we offer programs for them as well. We have tie-ups with IITs for a scholarship called Build India Scholarship.
Fantastic.
We have tie-up with SPGen. We have IIM Ahmedabad. We have teachers coming in from Harvard. We have teachers coming in from all these institutes, training and making our people literally world ready.
Fantastic.
And we benchmarking them against the best in the world.
Great.
So we actually offer careers for and careers which you can dream of going right, spending your entire working life.
Fantastic. Very, very, very interesting, because when you're looking at, as soon as you say it's benchmarking up to world standards, that's already something that's I think motivating individuals to kind of give off their best also. Poonam, give us some insight in terms of the whole focus on the people management or the leadership development bit within the organization.
Yeah. So what we of course have our traditional training calendar, which looks at the requirements or the training needs of the site and
Sure.
office.
Sure.
But as part of Laksh, what we understood was required of HR is that you need to build in competencies at every level of the hierarchy.
Okay, right.
Okay, so we have something called junior management, which is called tier 1 leadership, a tier 2 leadership, which is mid management, and a senior leadership called top management, senior and top management. So we built in programs for each of these levels.
Fantastic.
Now the competencies for each of these levels have been well defined in the organization.
Right.
So we looked at these competencies and said that how do we deliver, or how do we make our people adept at these competencies? So we said, okay, we have the set of competencies. We have these set of competencies,
right?
And then we went to the line managers, we went to the senior business leaders and said, okay, when you're talking about junior management, tier 1 people or mid management, what is it that you want them to do? What are you looking for? So they gave us a whole list of things that they expect. Map that onto the competencies.
Okay.
And we found that actually everything that they expect can be mapped back to the competencies.
Okay.
Then we said, okay, now let's split this into project management skills, into finance, understanding of finance, and into your behavioral skills, team management, self-management, and that space.
Sure.
And then we designed these programs.
Okay.
So we designed a long duration program for the junior management.
Great.
We called it Engineer Your Success.
Okay.
Engineer your success as in, you can decide and plan your own success.
Yes.
Then we just, for the tier 2, we called it Leadership Excellence Accelerator Program. At the tier 2 level, you would understand mid-management level, they would have spent 15, 18 years in the organization. Their project management skills are pretty good. Some bit of honing is required over there for that, that bird's eye view of project management. But a lot of people management is involved at that stage. So we did also introduce coaching sessions for them, one-on-one coaching sessions. Again, this was spread over a period of time, following the principles of learning that short duration programs can't bring about long duration. Also, since it was for our IC, we customized it not only in terms of content, but even timing. Now, we have a clear on season and an off season. Rainy season, there's not much work that's happening because all our work is in the open.
Right.
So these program timings are designed in such a way that when they're relatively free, these programs have been bucketed in that time slots, so that it's easier for them to come and attend it.
Right.
So it's been pretty successful. And then we've done a lot of competency workshops for the senior management levels. And then, of course, for the top management, it's about basically coaching and mentoring. So we have a lot of internal leaders who have come up as their mentors. We've employed or we've asked some specialists and external coaches to come in. So basically, we are looking at literally all the levels of the organization and how we can keep augmenting their skills so that you prepare them faster, because everything is about being faster today. The on-the-job training will get them there, no doubt, but it takes time to accelerate that process for them.
Oh, beautiful. I think that's an important point. The whole bit is, how do we accelerate the learning? And I think one thing that I found very interesting is the customization, but also the coaching and mentoring, while you also have experts from outside, but you also mentioned internal mentors. And
because we have a lot of role models within the organization. We have great role models within the organization, and we truly believe it's embedded in our culture that everybody who's at senior level has to spend time developing people. It's a value system in the organization. So they give their time readily, and they're very interested in building up the rest of the organization and imparting what they have learned and gained
Fantastic, wonderful. And over here, this point, before I pose my next question, I'm going to ask all of you, this is the time to send in or type in your questions, any comments that you may have, and we're going to do a quick run through that also. And I'm going to pose my next question, but you can also type in yours at the same time. So Poonam, my next question to you is that when you look at this industry, which I'm pretty sure is male dominated, especially at the leadership level, I'm not too sure if I will find too many women in leadership positions. What is that? Is there any difference? Have you found your journey to be different, interesting, but more importantly, what is your take on how should organizations nurture women talent, really?
So I will answer this from my journey and some of the best practices that I have seen.
Yes.
Personally, I think I feel no different in the sense that it's all about the attitude you get to work, whether you're whatever your gender is.
Sure.
Okay.
Nice.
And having the right attitude is success. So I have developed a set of monitors for my own self to make sure that I'm on dot in terms of the work I do.
Nice.
And honestly, then you don't face too much of an issue of how people look at you.
Okay.
But if you talk from a larger perspective, that yes, do women need support at or how can organizations support women? I read this up somewhere and I found it reflected in my own journey. So women between the age of say 25 to 35 in India largely go through a lot of changes in terms of they may be getting married, they may be having children, they may have to move cities on account of certain changes happening in their personal life. And if an organization is able to have policies which can support them during this period, then these people have larger, so by 35 kind of things settle. And then you have that entire workforce who's also a little bit feels obligated with that organization supported them during this period. And you have a person who's in one sense well-rounded because facing so many challenges that are very unique to sometimes what women would be facing. And if I look at my own journey, L&T did support me in that phase. I went through I have 2 children. I went through that phase. Then my husband moved, and then I had to move, and then they what we call as a request transfer that was provided by the organization, and all of that has helped me have an uninterrupted career for almost 25 years now.
Fantastic. And I think what you mentioned over here is very interesting, because you said when a woman is going through this whole phase, you're looking at it from the perspective of not that, she's got these new roles that she's taking on as a mother, as a wife, etc. But really in those roles, she's actually building herself.
Absolutely.
And she's bringing that also to the organization. So
True.
and that's a very interesting point to kind of keep in mind, that, if she, in that you are actually getting a well-rounded individual.
Absolutely.
Who is
perspectives.
Fantastic.
And there's a lot of studies now which show that if you have a good gender mix in an organization, the cultural aspects of that organization get impacted.
Great.
So
Sure,
it's,
yes,
these kind of perspectives that you go through in your personal life, you can't keep them away. You get them to your workplace.
Right.
And in one sense, it adds to the culture. It also enhances it.
Fantastic, very cool. And so a question that I also have is, and I know a lot of us over here, and we are all, at the end of the day, we're all looking to be the best leaders that we can. Leadership is something I read somewhere where it says it's not like a designation, it's a choice. You can choose to be a leader at any point of time. And a lot of that also therefore has to do with self-management.
True.
What are your takeaways or something that kind of has helped you that you may want to share with us, just as an offering, really, to say, this is something that's worked for you, and something that us and many of us who are kind of leading or working towards the whole leadership journey can kind of take from.
So this, I'll be cautious to say a disclaimer. The disclaimer is that take this as one of the inputs in your life.
Sure.
Okay, this is not the only path. This is what helped me, and I'm offering it. If it examine it, decide for yourself. So 2-3 things that if I reflect, 2-3 things I do very regularly. I think irrespective of the level I was in hierarchy, I had an attitude of the buck stops with me.
Okay.
If I am given a job, it's my job to do it. Okay. Now, you can always take help from a whole lot of people that you need to.
Right.
Okay, to deliver it. You have to interact with a whole lot of people to, help you achieve that. But if it has been handed over to you, you don't pass it on. You also don't go with too many problems to your bosses. I have always gone with one problem and 3 possible solutions.
Fantastic. Okay.
And ask my boss. So at least he may give me a 4th solution. Maybe my 3 were not robust enough at that point in time. But at least it convinced him that I have thought through it. I have not come running to him at every pitfall.
Sure.
So this attitude of the buck stops with me really worked for me in my life.
Okay.
Another thing, and I don't know from where I picked it up, but every day I ask myself a question, and I'm honest, I really do ask myself a question. Have I earned my salary for the day?
Okay.
Now, it may seem like a very mundane question. You work 9 to 5. So what do you mean, have you earned your salary for the day? But this actually helps me reflect, what have I done between 9 to 5? Okay. And to be honest, every day the answer is not yes.
Okay.
But it keeps me very conscious and alert every single day of my life that, okay, so yesterday I didn't really achieve much. Okay, then I need to be up my game the next day.
Nice.
So this is like a self kind of a mechanism that I've built for myself, which keeps me very, very focused on my job.
Oh, beautiful.
Another thing which I do is every 6 months, I should have something what I call CV value.
Okay.
That means I haven't made my CV that often in life, but every 6 months, I should do something new. Something new to build up my own capability, which will eventually help me in my work, or something as for the organization, which is worthy of being talked of or put in as a line on your CV.
Oh, okay.
So it all never lets me rest on my laurels, never lets me look too much behind as to I did this or I did that, or we achieved this or we achieved that. That's all fine, that's great. What next? Right. And this has helped me build up step by step, every 6 months, something or other new. And I don't think there's been because 6 months is a long duration. If there is no way that I will allow myself to say, oh, last 6 months have gone by and I didn't do anything. This just won't happen. If you're conscious of it, it just does not happen. Which means you're constantly doing something which is adding value.
Oh, that's brilliant, because I'm thinking from that is completely self-management. You don't need an external entity to kind of tell you to do something. This is you yourself saying, what am I doing to add value to myself?
Yes.
And therefore add value
to the organization, because that's how organizations will grow. One has to contribute to help the organization grow.
Oh, very cool. No, thank you so much, Poonam, for that. Really, because I think those 3 points are points that get you to think. And as you said, you don't want the answer to be no to that second question too often. You want it to be yes, and you want it to be a resounding yes every day. Yeah?
Because you're asking it to yourself and you can't lie.
Because you're asking it to yourself. Yes. And with that, thank you so much. I think we are almost up with time, but thank you for the conversation, for taking the time out, for sharing your journey, your insights, giving us a fantastic insight into the industry, what L&T does, and for really spending this time with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. Do send in your comments. And from Poonam and me, have a wonderful evening ahead. Happy weekend. Thank you. Thanks.